Welcome to the video tutorial on how to use Tourney Pro to manage an NFL Survivor pool. If you haven't already done so, now would be a good time to go back and just review the regular NFL Office Pool tutorial just to get an idea of some of the same configuration and settings that you'll need to use to start your NFL pool. And this tutorial will just focus on the things that are going to be different on how to run a Survivor pool. So the first thing we need to do, just like with any NFL pools, we're going to need to change our template to be an NFL season. So we do that by selecting the tournament menu, then setup, and we find the NFL season starting with week 1. And in order to do this as a Survivor pool, we're going to check the option here for run a Survivor pool, and we can go ahead and select our Survivor options. We have our choice now whether we're running a winner pool or a loser pool. A winner pool is where your players will pick one team that they think is going to win that week. Loser pool is they pick a team they think is going to lose. And then in terms of the style name, there's different names that these pools are called, whether it's Survivor, Suicide, Last Man Standing. So you can pick one of those names, just displays in the reports, or you can also type in your own name. You have another option here of how many times a player can miss before they're eliminated. Typically this is just once, but if your Survivor pool maybe allows them to have 2 misses before they're out, you can select this option here. Then you have your choice of whether or not the player can pick the same team more than once, and whether or not missed weeks count as a loss. These are just the default settings, which you can set them to be whatever your Survivor pool uses. So go ahead and select OK. We'll go ahead and save this right now as we'll just call it Survivor Week 1. Save it. Now if we were to go ahead and download our Week 1 pairings, Week 1 matchups, and we can take a look at the tournament pick sheet now. So as you can see now, your player will go in here on the entry page and pick one team they think is going to win or one team they think is going to lose, depending on your Survivor pool setup. Let's just go ahead and run through and create a few test players here. We'll just call this one Test 1, Test 2, and Test 3. And we'll say that Test 1 is picked Buffalo, Test 2 New Orleans, and Test 3 picked Cincinnati. Now on the Survivor pool, you really don't have any standings per se, since it's pretty much just as long as you're still in it, everyone is, as long as you haven't missed a team yet, you're still in it. But the report that's really beneficial in terms of the Survivor pool is the player summary. And if we look at this report, it basically shows us now all 17 weeks, each player, who they picked, and whether they got it right or not. So if we go ahead and we look at, say, recording, maybe the result is that Jacksonville beat Buffalo, and now in our player summary again, you'll see here that the person, Test 1, picked Buffalo, and they're out now because their name is crossed out. Buffalo is marked in red. So as soon as they make a wrong pick, since we said they only get one miss, then they're out. So what you'll see though is you'll see this report. This player will be here all the time, but they won't have any more picks for the rest of the weeks. They're basically done. So in terms of a Survivor pool, the player summary is the report you'll want to show your players, because it'll show, like I said again, all the picks, the correct picks. Like let's say that this Test 2 and Test 3, New Orleans and Cincinnati, they were correct. New Orleans won and Cincinnati won. If we run the player scenario or the player summary again, you'll see now that they're showing in black, which means that it was correct. So they can they'll be able to make picks now for week 2. So in terms of setting up the Survivor pool, we'll just go back to the setup and our Survivor options and how I want it set up. This controls how the program handles the Survivor pool. And one thing to make note of is, if you watch the previous tutorial on using the hosting for collecting player picks, This is another case where that drop-down menu on the Deploy via Web will come in handy, because when you select the drop-down menu, let's go ahead and I'll show you that option here. When you select the Use drop-down list for names, as the players are eliminated, their name will be removed from that list. So I would highly recommend on a survivor pool, if you're collecting entries on the web, to use that drop-down list, so that way when you get to like week 3, so if you're running a survivor pool, that would be a good option to select in that way. As the weeks go on, when players are eliminated, their name is removed from the list, so only people that are still in it will be able to make their picks. You as the pool manager, however, you can always make picks for someone, so even though a person may already be eliminated, since you have full control using the software, you can certainly add a pick for someone after they've been eliminated. But in terms of the web, we only would want to allow people who are still in the pool to go ahead and submit their picks, so you'll want to make sure you select that option. So that's just a quick video tutorial on how to set up your survivor pool using Tourney.